Welcome to Rejuvenate Church Broadcast. We exist to create an environment where people can engage the hope of Jesus Christ, connecting people to their dreams and purpose in life, teaching transformational kingdom principles that allow that purpose to be lived out. Visit us on the web at www.rejuvenatechurch.com. You may also connect with us via Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Stay tuned at the close of today's message for more information about Rejuvenate. Let's join Pastor Jason Wilson now for today's message.
1 Corinthians 12:20 says, "But now indeed there are many members, yet one body. And the eye cannot say to the hand, I have no need of you, nor again the head to the feet, I have no need of you." That's it this morning, right? We're going to wear it out with two scriptures. Let's pray. Father, we thank you for your word. We thank you, God, Father, that your word brings truth, which brings liberation to our life. God, we're not satisfied, Father, with remaining in the same condition that we've been in, God. We want to be challenged. We want to be stretched, God. We want you to take, Father, literally the borders of our mind this morning, Father, and begin to shape them, God, and change them, God, and liberate us, Father, from shallow thinking, God, transforming us into thinking, God, as kingdom ambassadors, God. Father, you have sent us on a mission, God, and we cannot remain where we've been, God, in order to accomplish the massive mission that you've sent us into, God. So, Father, open up our minds, our hearts today, God, and reveal your principles, God, to our life. And, God, we thank you for that, Lord, in Jesus. Can we do that? Listen, do me a favor and say many. Many. All right, say it again and say it with some emphasis. Say many. 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 Point to yourself and say, I need many. I need many. Nah, y'all didn't say it. Y'all was like, I need many. Like, I need many. Me. Like, if nobody else does in this room, I need many. That's me. I need it. You follow me? I need many. I don't care what everybody else does. I don't care what they think. It don't make a difference how they woke up and felt this morning. All I know is that the Bible tells me that I need many. All right? I need many. In order for me to be everything that God has built for me to be, I need many. All right. He said, but now indeed there are many members and yet one body. And so I got to begin to shape my thinking to think that everybody that I see is a part of my body. Everybody that I get, man, wherever you go eat at a restaurant today, you can look all around that restaurant and see a lot of faces and a lot of names of people you don't know. But the reality is that those people, man, are spiritually connected to you. You follow me? You need them. You need them. You need the people that you see. You can look around this room right now and everybody that is sitting in this room you need. We need this thing. In order for us to accomplish the mission that God, and I'm not just talking about Rejuvenate Church, I'm talking about the kingdom of God. In order for us to complete the mission that God has established for us on this earth, we need many. All right? One body, one mind, one accord, one purpose, one thinking, one spirit, but we need many. You follow me? And so it says, now indeed there are many members and yet one body. We need many. I'm amazed, man, at so many times that we have a hard time embracing many. We want to keep our circles small. We want to keep our circles to where it's easy. Now watch this. We keep our circles where it's easy for us to manipulate based on how we feel. All right. We keep our circles and our people around. We keep the ones around that we like having around. Are you following me? We remain connected to the ones that we can retrieve something from. We remain connected to people and keep that circle small in order for us to be able to shift on a dime the culture of our environment. If we don't like the situation, if we don't like what's being said, if we don't like how it's being made for us to feel, then we can change and move our situation in a moment because we can eliminate people from our life. And so we keep our circle small and we keep our connections in a place that we can manipulate them. Now, here's the thing, is that I know you say that's not me. I'm not a person that Man, I'm going to tell you what, that's a lie, because we are conditioned by a spiritual or by a negative spiritual nature of pride that we're trying to see what we can get out of every situation. You follow me? If you walked in this morning and you can't say that's who I am, but I'm going to tell you what, you're lying. We are people that want to find out what we can get out of a situation. That's the very thing that drives. What can move me? What can move me? Hey, there went my little thing. I'm sorry. What can move me to the next place of my life? All right, what can give me the greatest progress and promotion of my situation? And that's the people I'll surround myself with. We often like to surround ourselves with people that only tell us yes and tell us that we look good, we smell good, we look pretty. I like what you got on. I like what you're saying. I like what you're thinking. I like how you're praying. I like how you're living. I like everything that's going on in your life. And the moment that somebody invades our territory that begins to bring a different way of thinking or correction, we back away and retract. All right? It's going to be one of them this morning, brother. I'm just telling you right now. And so aside from God, let me just tell you this. Aside from God and the indwelling and the anointing of His Holy Spirit, our most powerful resource and prized commodity is people. Our most powerful resource is sitting in this room. You waiting on $1 million. You waiting on cancellation of debt. You waiting on a bigger house. You waiting on a better boyfriend. You waiting on a better marriage. You waiting on children that act right. You waiting on everything else that you think is a necessary resource in order for you to be at the right place in your life. And the reality is the right places of your life and the right connections of your life are sitting in this very place with you this morning, and we fail to recognize it. We keep looking for the next and we miss where we're at. We keep looking for the next relationship, that next friendship, that next, opportunity, and we don't recognize the opportunities that God has established around us because they lie in the many. Are you following me? They lie in the many, and now indeed there are many members and yet one body. And so aside from God and obviously His Spirit, our most prized commodity is people, and I'm amazed by people. Let me rephrase. I'm amazed by church people that don't like being around people. I'm amazed by folk that call themselves believers and yet they don't like the other parts of the body. I told you, all right? It blows my mind the way that we can be so discombobulated and frustrated by people and allow that to literally change the scope of our life. Literally, one person can say one thing and it will change our whole outlook and our whole demeanor and our whole approach towards life. It will change our week. It will change our day. You go to work tomorrow, man, or you go to your classroom tomorrow and let somebody say the wrong thing, and you'll go the rest of your day frustrated and pouting because we don't like what they said, and we allow that one thing to shift our whole outlook. All right? I don't like people. I hear church folk tell me, I just don't like being around people. And I'm like, what? Wait, have you even confessed that He's the King? You do realize that when you confess that He's the King and you received His Spirit, it told me that the Spirit baptized me into the body. It's impossible then, man. I'm challenging your doctrine and your theology that if you tell me you're one of the King and yet don't like being in the body, do you really have the King? All right? If I don't like connecting with people, being around people, then I really have to question whether you even understand who God is. Because God said, listen, I like people so much that I'm going to make them the value of my creation. I'm going to make them my most prized creation. And so understanding that then, if God's most prized creation is people and we're built in the image of God, then shouldn't our most prized resource be people? God said, I spoke everything else into existence, but I took my hands and I formed with intricacy and delicacy my most prized creation. I love people so much that I'm going to make many in order to rule and to subdue and to have dominion over my earth, to conquer my territory. People are the only ones that I'm going to allow my spirit to live in and to be formed in my image. All right? And so if people are God's greatest value, then we've got to begin to shift our thinking that we like the many. Because if I'm going to shape my mind after God, then I have to appreciate the value of those sitting around me. And know this, sometimes those sitting around you are not ones that you would normally ask to sit around you. All right? All right. So, it blows my mind that you got people. Let me fix this thing, folks. There we go. You got people that if a barrel, come on, who would freak out if somebody walked in front of you right now and said a barrel of money in front of you? Come on, don't lie. Y'all can shout. You shout about that, right? Courtney's like, shoot, yeah, I'll be all over that. We would have some runners in this place this morning if somebody dropped some money in this place. Are you following me? All right. I mean, it literally, or if somebody walked in and say, look, Jack, I'm going to add, like Hezekiah, like what happened with Isaiah and Hezekiah, I'm going to add 15 more years to your life. We would, oh, okay. All right. I got, right. I got time. We're good. And so we get jacked up, man, about some money and about some time and about commodities like that. But we don't get jacked up about people. We don't get excited about people. When God says, I'm giving you people, why? I don't want people. I want money. Why are you giving me people? I don't need people. I need encouragement. Why are you connecting me with people? All I need is your Holy Spirit to intercede and pray and meet my needs right now. I don't need people. I need your spirit in mine. And God said, well, where did I deposit my spirit? So if people are God's prized possession, then at some point we've got to begin to shape our thinking in order for us to embrace God's prized possession. People are the channel by which heaven gets to earth. All right? God said, if I'm going to rule territory, I'm going to increase my territory. And so in order for me to increase my territory, I'm going to build a whole new territory, this thing called earth. And in order for me to have reign in another territory, I'm going to create kings or ambassadors that I'm going to give my spirit. And as I stretch and extend my spirit, I have more territory that I reign. And so I'm going to build earth. I'm going to put people in it. Are you following me? And he says, and so in order for me then, in a like way, in order for things to be accomplished on earth that are spiritual, I'm giving my spirit to people, and as they operate on earth and make decisions according to my thinking, heaven invades earth. All right? And so it's by people that are the channel by which things happen that are happening in the spiritual or in the heavenlies begin to take place on the earth. And when you begin to shift your thinking to understand that, then automatically your increase and your value of people should change when you realize the very way that I get access to the heavens is through people. I know I'm going to challenge some of you this morning with that. And so we've got to begin to shift this thinking about our concept and our increase of people. We pray and we follow this model prayer, you know, on earth as it is in heaven. And God's like, the reality is, man, is that I've put so many things around you that allow for that prayer to become possible, but you fail to realize that my spirit lives in your connections. And so while you've been praying for a long time, God bless me, God give me this, God meet this need, God give me my increase, God open up this new job. Let me tell you something, if God is going to open up a new job opportunity in your life, you're going to have to sit down in front of a person somewhere to have an interview. Are you following me? I can guarantee, how many of you guys have ever had a financial miracle met in your life? All right? Did it fall out of the sky? Or did it come through the hand of another? Did God send somebody radically into your way? You might not even know them. You might have known them for 40 years, but man, they didn't have a clue what you were going through, but God led them by His Spirit into your pathway in order to deposit something into your hand that would change your life. And so heaven invaded earth because people. And so if you're at a place that you need and are going to have encouragement, you've been praying for encouragement, I'm going to tell you something. Getting around people and people that have the Spirit of God will bring encouragement to your life. All right? So you got to understand that God, the way that God begins to take over earth and get His mindset and His ways and His Spirit and His power onto this place called earth, it's going to happen through the channel of people, you and I, and those sit around me. All right? So everything that will happen in your life to accomplish the purpose of your life will happen because of your connection to other folks. It will be created through the relationships and the opportunities and the provision that God provides through the hands and feet of another man. The reality is that there will be nothing that happens in your life that's of anything of significance that doesn't happen through the opportunity that have been created by people. All right? It won't happen. It won't. Look, you were born because of somebody else. When you couldn't put your hand to your mouth to draw a bottle, you were fed because of somebody else. When you didn't know how to cut up your steak and dip it in ketchup and eat it, somebody else made it happen for you. When you went into the first grade, you wouldn't have made it to the second unless there was somebody there giving you an education every day in order to elevate you to a new level. When you got your diploma, you walked across the stage somewhere and shook hands with somebody else. When you got your first job, you sat in an interview place and talked with somebody else. When God wants to move you to the next level of your life, it will happen through the entrance of other people. And so then I've got to have the many. I can't live life being disconnected from the many. That's why last week I told you, you got to find where you fit, man. All right. So it's now watch. It's a strategy of the enemy to first of all to depress and discourage us. You know, the enemy's going to try to work on our mind. He's going to try to tell us things that are lies. He's going to try to take our circumstances and our choices and lay that over us to where it literally just sinks us into a place. But watch, when we get to a place that we become frustrated or downtrodden or discouraged or depressed, then one of the first things that we ever do is isolate ourselves from the connection of other people. You don't want to get out of bed. You don't want to answer the phone. You don't want to talk to nobody. All right? If you do talk to somebody, you want to cuss them. You want to turn off the lights. You want to close the windows. You want to close the blinds. You don't want nothing. You don't even want to go out and get a burger from Burger King. You just want to sit and wallow in the voice of the enemy. And he literally is using it as a strategy. Why? Because your connection and your resources and the power of your life are found in connecting with other people. And so if he can begin to challenge your mind to keep you depressed, he knows that you'll retract from surrounding yourself with other people, which is where life happens. And so he begins to frustrate your thinking. Here's the thing, is he cannot rob your power. He cannot rob your power. It's impossible. But he can shift or challenge your identity. And when you stop connecting with other people, you lose a part of who you are. Man, I'm teaching you something right now. You follow me? Everybody good? And so the enemy will work on this thing and discouraging us and challenging us that we retract from other people. It's not by coincidence that we begin to isolate ourselves from other people because of that supply. The supply of our purpose is found in other people. And the enemy, I told you that, he's anti-purpose. The very thing that he's trying to squelch in your life is the purpose that God has created in your life. And yet the resources of your purpose are found in other people. And so he'll do anything he can to keep you from becoming who you're trying to become. And so he'll find any way that he can to retract you from people. If he's got to discourage you, frustrate you, cause junk around you to happen, if he can get you to a place that you are conditioned by your environment, you'll never be the position that you were built to be positioned in. All right? Won't happen. And your position, you will not find a position in the body that is disconnected from the body. They ain't a part of my body that floats freely by itself. You follow me? Can't happen. All right, and so your position is inside of the body, but he will change your conditions all day long and frustrate your thinking in order for you to disconnect from the body, because that's where your supply is. There's power in that connection. All right, now watch. The enemy will not challenge you to go to your favorite movie. All right, I'm going to get just old school preacher right here for a minute. He won't challenge you to go to your favorite movie. He won't challenge you to go on your girls' night out. He won't challenge you to do anything like that you want. You'll take your kids to the water park, to the swimming pool. You'll go eat a steak at your grandma's house. But man, you try to get up and come to a house of worship on Sunday morning in a place that you know you can connect with people, he will work you over all day long. You trying to make a place to get in a closet with somebody or connect with some of your prayer partners, and he'll work on you all day long. He will challenge your commitment to connect with other people. All right? And the problem is that we're okay with being lulled to sleep and allowing him to work it over. I would not let anything stop me from being in a place that I know God's Spirit resides, that I can connect with other people. You will never leave that place feeling the same way you walked in, ever. Ever. And so he'll challenge that thinking and mindset, and he'll challenge you, man, against everything that connects you with other people. And so there's got to be that shift in thinking towards the value of another person. Now look, I literally, again, I want you to look at some of the people that are sitting around you right now. Some of these people you don't know. Some of them you've seen for the first time today. Some of them you've known for a couple months now. Some of them you might have known for years. Look at them. Because I need you to get the picture that the doorways of breakthrough in your life are lying in connection with somebody in this room. It's not an accident. This is not accident. God is trying to shift you to a new level, and your new levels of opportunity. You never know that literally the job of your lifetime might be lying in somebody that's in here that has a connection with somebody that you need to know. It ain't always that's the person that's going to make it happen. They could literally be the joint by which they connect you with somebody else that's got all the resources that you need. But God will shift your life and has literally created the breakthroughs of your life to be found inside of a connection with somebody else here. And then you wonder, why in the world am I fighting everything to get here on Sunday morning? Why is my kids going stupid and trying to keep me from, why am I at a place, some of us just get so frustrated, I quit. I ain't even going. I quit. You follow me? Because the power of the doorways, the breakthroughs of your life, man, are found in connecting with these other people. It's not by coincidence that he's challenging your connections and trying to kill your purpose. The promised land of your life is obtained through God's people. That's the way it happens. There was nobody that walked into the promised land that was not God's chosen. Are you following me? We didn't see the Philistines walking in it and dwelling in it. We didn't see the Amorites. We didn't see anybody that was against or combative against the Spirit of God. You had to be connected to the body or connected to the Spirit of God in order for you to walk in your promised land. And so how do you ever think that you can get where you're trying to get in your life all by yourself or doing it against the grain of God's principles? It will never happen. We've got to be connected with the body of God in order for us to walk in the destiny that God has established for our life. You can't have the creator of destiny and then your idea of it and separate them and expect to get there. Won't happen. All right, so there's got to be that shift in thinking. Now, where God has you, now listen to this. Where God has you is your it's your place of next level. Please think about that. Whether it's in this place, the school you go to, the friends you're around, the job you work at, whatever it may be, man, God has literally positioned you in that place to advance you. It ain't by, you ain't going to your job tomorrow just cause. You need to go to your job tomorrow with expectation. What if tomorrow is the day that God opens up the doorway of a lifetime, opportunity of a lifetime? What if God walks you into your classroom tomorrow and it literally becomes the opportunity of a lifetime because of a relationship that you build in a college classroom or a high school classroom somewhere, that you have that relationship now and that connection for the next 10 years and you don't know what can happen through that connection? What happens if you connect yourself with a professor? What happens if you connect yourself with a coworker, with whatever it may be? What happens, man, if God literally begins to shift somebody in your family and your family is the one that creates an opportunity for you? But wherever God has you, whether it's in this place, whether it's in your job, your classrooms, God has you there in order to connect with other people to carry you to the next level. Now watch. We'll sit there and get in our mind and be like, well, how in the world am I going to go to my next level? And I work and live around some crazy people. I work around or I go to school with some folk that don't know who Jesus is for nothing. Are you following me? I know you're asking that question in your mind right now. Well, my next level ain't lying there because them people's going to hell in a handbasket. Now, listen. You have to understand then that you're the strategy to get God's Spirit in that place to release the levels. Did you catch that? The whole reason then, if you are living around some heathen folks, man, is that God has literally walked you into that place because in order for that realm to live, He's invited you in it. Because you're the one that's bringing God's Spirit that you literally are able to impact and build relationships with those people. And as they begin to discover who they are in God and find where they fit, they open up the doorways to your next level. Man, come on. Somebody, I'm preaching better than you hollering this morning. So God has you in the place of your environment, has established you in your environment because your level and your destiny lives inside of them. So finding where you fit, really, and why last week it was so important, finding where you fit is so important because it's where you fit that flow happens. I cannot dislocate my shoulder and expect flow. Are you following me? I can't remove my shoulder, my hip, my ankle. I watched a lot of football games yesterday. Kids breaking ankles, dislocating shoulders. And I promise you something. They were in pain. And if they did not fix that injury quick enough, the blood flow supply to that extremity would have been cut off and that appendage would have been dead. So it's impossible for things to flow proper when I'm not connected to the place I'm supposed to be connected to. So you got to find where you fit in order for the flow to be released in your life. That's why you can't come in here and grade my preaching and that be it. Are you following me? We don't do this on Sunday morning for you to come in here and tell me I did a good job. Listen, You're not here you're partly here because of the education that I can give you, but the reality is you're here because the next level of your destiny lies in the connection of relationships that you build here. That's why you come. And so you have to find where you fit with each place and each person. Find where you fit in your job. Find where you fit in your family. Find where you fit in your household. Find where you fit in this body of ministry. Find where you fit in the kingdom of God, because when you get in that place and begin to understand the identity of your life is where literally the release of the flow can happen for you. And so it ain't okay just to come and wherever you go. I don't care if it is it ain't okay just to go somewhere and sit. Come on, I got some college folk in here this morning. Listen, if you go to class and sit for the next 4 years, are they going to give you a diploma? Ain't going to happen. So wherever you go, you have to begin to extend yourself in finding where you fit and how you can maximize your production wherever you're at to increase your opportunity of acceleration. Are you following me? And so we can't find where we fit. You ain't here to grade me this morning. You ain't here to grade my preaching. If that's why you came, well, you're going to miss out. Look at verse 21 real quick. Let's look at this. Y'all all right? Give me some time. All right, I got time. And the eye cannot say to the hand, I have no need of you. Nor again the head to the feet, I have no need of you. Man, I got a lot to cover. Jesus, help me. Y'all better be glad I was going to do the rest of 12. And I got 2 verses and man. He says, the eye cannot say to the hand, I have no need of you. Nor again the head to the feet, I have no need of you. Now, let me put it in today's language. It can't say, because I don't like how you look. Or I ain't really happy about where you come from or how you talk. I don't like what color you are. I don't like your background. I don't like the way your mama is. I don't like the way she talks. I don't like what you drive. I don't like I don't like how you dress. All right? I really don't like the way you talk. I don't like your attitude. I don't like the way you smell. I don't like the way you think. I don't like anything about you. Let me tell you something. That's not an option. That is not an option. For kingdom people, that's not an option. We don't have the option to walk around grading people. We don't have the option to walk around and saying, because I don't like where you came from, and I don't like what you said to me last week, and I don't like really the way you did your hair, and I don't like how much money you got in your bank account, because I don't like that. I'm breaking my connection with you. And God's like, man, you're the one that's got it all jacked up, not the one that you don't like. I can't say to the hand, I have no need of you. I can't say, the head to the foot, I have no need of you. Because I don't like where you come from. Let me watch this. Now here's what's interesting. The Bible was not written the Bible wasn't written for non-believing people. The Bible was written for a kingdom education for those that call themselves believers. And here's what I find interesting is that God is having to give believers an education. We ain't talking about folk that's going to hell. We're talking about people that confess that they know the King is now having to learn it, because I know the King. I can't go around talking about my people. I can't go around talking, being frustrated with my brother, my arm, my foot, my leg, my head. It can't happen. He's not talking to people that just live that way, because he knew what they were going to say. He said, I can't have it amongst my people. There's got to be something different. There has to be a separation about the way my body thinks and the way my body operates than by the way culture operates. And culture's okay with showing you an Instagram photo and a magazine and an award show and telling you how you're getting it wrong and how they're getting it right. But my kingdom ain't that way. All right? And so I'm not going to look at you and say, well, because you ain't thin enough, I ain't hanging out with you. All right? And because you didn't come from my neck of the woods, I can't be seen with you. And because you do have some issues still on your life, man, I'm not getting around you at all. That's not an option for kingdom people. It's not an option to look at your eye or to the hand and say, I ain't got no need of you. I don't have any need of you because you're different. Because you're different than I am, I don't have a need of you. That's not that. Different is by strategy. I'll show you that in a minute. There's 2 issues that are demonstrated by the believer just in this one verse, and it's one of the heart and one of the mind. Now watch. The Bible teaches me that there's power in the tongue, right? Y'all heard that? There's power, life, and death in the tongue. So let me give you just a little bit of tidbit then. If the Bible teaches me that there's life and death in the power of the tongue, and yet you call yourself a person of the kingdom, and you have kingdom understanding, then the negativity that you produce about your brother should never come out of your mouth. Why? Because you're cursing your source. You have to understand the detriment then of what can happen when you begin to use your mouth to declare about your brother. Come on now. And now let me go a little bit further, because when they wrote this, Facebook wasn't out there. What you type in is also what you're declaring. What you Instagramming and Twittering, and your frustrations about your job, and how you don't like your boss, and how you're angry at your husband, and how your kids ain't getting it right, and how your best friend of 34 years just left you and just allowed you to walk away. Let me tell you, that's still declaring. Are you following me? That's still declaring. And so God says there's not an option. And not only can you retract yourself from people, but you can't curse people either. All right? When you literally begin to speak against your brother and speak against the differences that your brother has, you're cursing by the way that God is going to flow in your life. All right? God says, listen, man, change your thinking about this, because you're literally cursing your opportunity when you begin to declare against your brother. You're cursing your connection. Because there's that power of life and death in the tongue. When you don't hold your tongue accountable for what it declares against another man, you're literally cursing the doorways of your favor. The source by which the resource has been sent from the heavens. The way, the portal by which heaven gets to earth, you've now shut up because of your mouth. Because you couldn't close this, you've closed this. Come on now. That's tweetable. Because you can't keep this shut, you shut that right up. Because I begin to declare cursings against my connections. God says, well, apparently you didn't value the source by which I was sending the resource. Because I have made them and I've made your brother in my image with my spirit. Are you literally not cursing my body? Man, come on. So we're cursing the source by which the resource has been sent. And it's a strategy of the enemy to bring division to the connections. All right? Now, here's the thing, is that it's not ironic to me that the church has never had as much of a sin problem as it has a talking problem. Come on now. See, we see the adulterers, and we see the liars, and we see the thieves, but we keep our cursing problems to ourselves. We keep it to our, remember those small little groups of connections I was telling you about? We keep our cursings of our brothers and our sisters to ourselves amongst our little shallow work of friends over here. But the very thing that culture laughs at the church the most about is gossip and hypocrisy. Are you following me? It doesn't make you hypocritical for you to have sin in your life or for you to allow sin in your church. What makes you hypocritical is when you begin to talk about their differences. Come on now, man, I'm giving you some good stuff, right? And so we literally have stagnated the church because we can't keep our mouth shut and embrace our body and let it be okay for us to invite people in that have sin issues. Here's the thing, is a sin issue, man, that's just a decision problem. But when you got a gossip or a hypocrisy problem, that's an issue of your heart. And Jesus walked this earth and he said, I can hang out with the whores and I can hang out with the adulterers, but it's those church folk, man, that's got a hypocrisy problem that I don't want to be around. That's the ones I can't stand to work with, because they are literally cursing the opportunities of their life. Their greatest days and their greatest resources could be lying in the one that's sleeping wrongly with that fellow, but they won't ever give her the opportunity to come in and receive my spirit to see what doorways could be open in their life. Because I'd rather talk about her differences than be the change to it. I would rather point out their flaws than be the one that sets an example through accountability of how their life can shift and transform. I would rather talk about what I know about their sin rather than talk about what I know about the King. Oh, come on now. And so we were challenged in this place that the church has been literally kept impotent. We have a seed and don't have the ability to plant it because we're in a place that we curse the body. God said, listen, you think I'm going to work through you, Jack? Man, I'm going to go find somebody that's laying under a bridge somewhere with a needle under their arm that all they need is my spirit in them, and it will literally shatter the place around them. Because I can't work through those stiff-necked people that just have this assumption of who I am and think that they know me, but they curse everything around them. And God's trying to work through their life. We stagnate our resources, man, because we curse the source. And God says, you can't talk about your brother that way. You got to find, how are you going to find where you fit and you talking about where you fit? You cursing where you fit. God says, listen, you shift this whole thinking about the fact that you see differences, because it's their very differences that if you allow me to teach you are really going to bring you together into a way that you fit greater than you ever thought possible to bring the greatest flow in your life. Don't curse their differences. All right? Let me give a side note really quickly about this. God really away. Y'all know I hate racism. I can't stand it. And racism don't just happen in black and white. Racism happens when you live on this side of town and that side of town and you don't like the other side of town. Racism happens when you might be skinny and there's another one that's big. It literally makes no difference, because it's not what we call it, it's the nature of our heart. And so when we pick out differences between people that allow division to be created, that's a heart issue. And so racism happens in a lot of different ways. But let me just talk about color for a minute. Y'all all right with that? Because I'm so sick of getting on the news and Facebook and everything else and seeing junk that's brought out about color, about this life matter and that life matter. Listen, the only thing that matters is a kingdom life. Are you following me? It really makes no difference to me. Here's the problem, is that racism will shift in our culture, not when we quit identifying other people, but when we stop identifying ourselves. When I stop seeing myself as white, then there ain't a race problem. When you start seeing yourself as black, Michael, we don't have a race problem. When I start identifying myself as a creature of the King and not as being white or not as being black, then hey, here's the thing, is we ain't got a race problem no more. All right? And so, listen, I don't care about what your idea is about how you can make race relations better if you're still talking about the other person. It's when you can look at yourself and say, have I embraced the Spirit of God? Because when I embrace His blood better cover everything in my life and not part. That's right. It can't cover, oh, Jesus. It can't cover my sins and not cover my mind. That's right. I can't be willing to extend myself that God in His mercy and His grace can cover just the things of my past that I made a mistake in, but it never challenges my mind to begin to look at people differently. All right? Oh, I had to preach there for a minute. So, we have to quit cursing the differences. We limit our connections in our approach to relationships because we have a conditioned expectation about the relationship. Are you following me? Now listen, we literally limit the flow of what can happen in a connection because we already have a preconceived idea about that connection. That's why I'm telling you, you can't look at the differences and curse the differences and then expect to receive in your life what God has positioned for you when you do connect with them. It can't happen. All right? We condition the relationship because of our expectations. We want people to act or function the way that we have determined that we want them to act or function. And we usually base that assumption on our happiness. Are you following me? We usually base that assumption. We usually condition the relationship. If this person can make me happy, then I'll connect with them. If this person can open up this doorway, I'll connect with them. If this person can make me feel better about who I am and where I'm going, then I'll connect with them. And so we generally make decisions about our connections about whether it's going to make me happy or not. Whoever makes a decision to walk into a situation, although you know you don't like that person. Come on now, it's very limited if it happens at all. So we condition our expectations about the relationship and predetermine what it can offer. But here's the reality, is that when we do that, we're not only limiting our connections, but we're also limiting the output of our connections because we've determined what they can or can't offer to us. And so we'll often complain or not approach relationships because what we see is differences. And the enemy has worked so hard to establish labels. God didn't ever establish a label. Are you following me? God never created a label. God never gave you a label. Matter of fact, in Genesis 1:26, the only label that God ever gives you is He said, I created man in my image. He didn't say, I created this black man to look like this and I created this white woman. He didn't give labels. He didn't even give a location label. He said, I'm placing you, man, in the kingdom, giving you dominion, and the only label you got is my Spirit. And so as long as you continue to walk and operate, less the labels, but according to my Spirit, man, it literally opens up the limitations of your life. Are you following me? And so we're at this place that we curse what God can do in our life, and because of these labels, and labels are a false identifier. All right? They're a false identifier. It simply conditions us to thinking what is the quality of the relationship. Come on, tell me. Now, you can't tell me that we don't operate like this. When we're communicating to somebody about something else, we'll say, you know, that black guy that lives across the street. You follow me? That girl that's got 4 kids. You know the one that was the one that used to work at the strip club. Her. You know her, right? You know her. You know her. You know the one that used to work at the strip club. Watch out for her, right? Are you following me? You know, that old lady. The old lady that comes to the church every now and then. The old lady. You know? Labels. Labels. God don't look at nobody and say, well, you know that old lady over yonder. God don't look at anybody and say, you know the black guy that lives across the street. God says, my body over there that's got the ability to prophesy. You follow me? No. The young lady over here, that, she had issues over her life, but man, she's a prayer warrior. She is a prayer warrior. I know she's been through mess, but you know what got her through that heroin addiction was her prayer, her ability to pray. Are you following me? But see, we'll label her based on what she did and not what she has the ability to produce by the kingdom. All right? So we create, the enemy has challenged us to create labels for people that become a false identifier, and we predetermine the possibilities of the connection and limit the connection altogether because of what we have determined as their differences. All right? Here's the thing, is you need the differences of other people. What you usually complain about the differences of another are exactly what God is trying to establish for your life. What you begin to complain about, what you don't like about somebody else, is generally what you need in your life. Because God is trying to find out where you fit. And that's what makes you so much alike and yet so much different. Here's the thing, is the only common interest that you have to have in making a kingdom connection is your location in the body. Are you following me? It's your location in the body. We have to quit labeling people based on what they look like, where they came from, what they did, and begin identifying them by the gift they have the ability to give. Are you all right with that? We have to begin to identify them with the possibilities of what God has established for their life. God shaped my thinking that I can see my brothers and sisters not with the label that the enemy has created for me, but by the way you built them and conditioned them to function according to the body. See, if I go around now, if I walk into a restaurant today and I start asking the questions, well, I wonder how this one fits with me. And I wonder what that one has. And I wonder what gift this one possesses. And I wonder how I can pray for her right now because one day we're going to be connected. See, I wonder how I can pray for this busboy because one day he's going to be at Rejuvenate with me. And we're going to be connected doing things for the kingdom. I begin to use my vision to think about how I can connect with people than the way that I can look at them and find out how I can disconnect with them. Come on now. All right? And so we allow ourselves to be conditioned by these labels. Now look, I want you to turn to Genesis 2:18 really quickly. Watch. It says, it is, and the Lord said, God said, it is not good that man should be alone. I will make him a helper comparable to him. Right? Now here's the thing is that, first of all, God did not counsel Adam according to what Adam thought he needed, but God creating according to what would fit. Are you with me? God didn't ask Adam's permission nor his thought process according to what he should build. God says, no, I know exactly where you fit and I know exactly what fits with you in order for you to maximize your production for the kingdom. So I won't counsel with you, Adam. I'm just going to put you to sleep and give you your connection. All right? And then he goes on to say to make him a helper comparable to him. Now, here's the thing is that we read this passage so oftentimes from a marital perspective, right? And it does give us a picture of marriage. It gives us a picture of that union and that connection. But this is what I need you to see. This is not just a picture of marriage. This is the first perspective of the body. All right? This is the first perspective. This is the first picture of the body and the way it was built to operate. I like the use of the word helper here because it demonstrates God's strategy. God wasn't building to create pleasure. He was building to create production. God's first priority is not your happiness, it's your purpose. Are you following me? That's half the reason why we come to Jesus, right? I just want to be happy. I just want to get this mess off of me that I've been doing for so long and I've been sinning for so long. God, I just want to be happy. And God's like, man, I ain't worried about your happiness. I'm worried about your purpose. Because if you walk in purpose, you'll find joy. You follow me? He says, but my priority is your function in the kingdom. All right? And so God never built anything according to our happiness. He built it according to, to our production. And so we often, here's the thing, is that he didn't ask Adam, what's going to make you happy? He built something that was going to maximize his production. We so often, again, establish our relationships by thinking what will make us happy. And let me tell you something. I'm going to give you just, man, this is big right here, right? All right? It's really not, but it is. Happiness is a decision and not a creative state. Happiness is not a place you arrive at. It's what you decide to be. If you understand that, then you understand that where you sit right now in the middle of the conditions of your life, you can be happy. And so I can no longer use that as an identifier or a prerequisite for my connections. But we'll make decisions about who I can connect with based on my happiness. Are you following me? You know, we're getting this thing and picking our boyfriends and our girlfriends based on who makes me happy. I get so tired of hearing that. Well, I just married him because he made me happy. Well, guess what? Because you didn't decide to be happy before you married him, the first moment he does something and jacks your mind up and you get unhappy, that's why you're going to leave him. It's because you didn't make a decision to be happy in who you were and make a decision about the man that could connect with you in order to fulfill your greatest production of your life. I made a decision because I wanted to be happy. And then we wonder why our divorce rate's so high. We wonder why the divorce rate in the church is so high. It's because I'm basing my decisions, my relationships based on my happiness. All right? No, I like it because he made me happy. Girl, he carried me to dinner last night and bought me a steak and roses and just made me so happy. And then you get home and find out that he did the same thing with the other girl last night. And you ain't happy no more, right? But you were making a decision a day to go with him because he looked good and made you happy. You weren't ever asking God, how does this young man fit with me? God, teach me about how I can connect with the person that you've established for my life that's going to allow me to be the greatest. If you want to be selfish in this thing, then start asking God for your greatest connections and to lead you in your connections, because it's only by your connections that you can be the greatest you. You need them to be you. Are you following me? I told you early on that when you lose a connection with somebody else, it literally eliminates part of your identity. And so in order for you to identify yourself and maximize the understanding of who you are and what you have the ability to do, you have to have somebody else. You have to have, God, show me that connection that can maximize my production. That's exactly what he does with Adam. He said, Adam, I'm not trying to make you happy, brother. I'm trying to make you productive. All right? So I'm going to make you a helper comparable to you. All right? I'm going to make you a helper comparable to you. And so he determines those relationships based on maximum. And in a kingdom principled environment, maximum production or completion of purpose is what establishes that true fulfillment. Now watch, when God was creating the earth, God completed his purpose, or he maximized his day. And it was at the end of that maximizing that day or that potential that he sat back and said, you know what, it's good. Right? And so God is trying to get man to a place that we're not just trying to live happy, but we're trying to maximize our potential, because we want to get to the end of our day or the end of our life and be able to look back and say, yeah, that was pretty good. Why? Because the Bible even tells me that when I encounter God, he's not going to ask me, are you happy or not? He's going to say, well done, you good and faithful servant. All right? That's how he's going to judge me, is based on the production of my purpose in my life, not whether I make great relationships that make me happy. That's right. All right? Remember, we're being created in the image of God, which means our function must be like God. All right? And so he's trying to get us this place that he's maximizing our output. Now watch. It says, I'm going to make him a helper comparable. The word comparable, y'all got to watch. This is so cool. The word comparable means suitable. All right. Another translation, now I don't understand this, but another translation of it means opposing or opposite of, which ironically also means corresponding. Y'all ever heard that phrase, opposites attract? I'm going to tell y'all what, that's kingdom right there. My wife couldn't be nothing less like me. We're different. You follow me? Literally. But she's got some things, man, she likes funny, she's humorous, she likes to joke. I'm a serious. I do need to laugh more. But that's bone to bone. That's the place that I got a little indention in my bone, and it just fits right with that because she's got that humor and that excitement and that fun, and I'm all driven and I'm all like just focused, and I got to take the bull by the horns and make this thing happen. You follow me? And so it just works. All right. And so he says, I'm going to make you a helper comparable to you, which is corresponding. Now, when you look up the word corresponding, it says having or participating in the same relationship. Now, watch. Having or participating in the same relationship, especially with the regard to the same whole. You follow that, Tommy? Having or participating in the same connection with a common purpose that is the whole. God said, I'm trying to build you somebody that will make this thing whole. I'm trying to build somebody that may even be opposing to you, different than you, but when you fit together in the same relationship, you are working towards a common goal to make this thing whole. Not only am I trying to make the kingdom whole, but I'm trying to make you whole. And he says, I'm pairing you with people. I'm making you a helper comparable that's literally maybe even the opposite of you, but it corresponds with you really well, that at the end of the day, man, y'all walk away from this thing and you're like, oh yeah, that was good. Yeah, that was good. We did good. We did good. You might be going to your house and I might be going to mine way across town, but when we come together, it's good. You follow me? All right? And so he says, I'm making him a helper comparable to him. And so God was literally building Adam somebody that fit with him, that would draw out of Adam his complete purpose. That's the way that God builds relationships. Let me give you a little free marriage counseling really quickly. And if you ain't married yet, man, you get this one for free early, okay? God, listen, this is, if you've ever been in marriage counseling with me, I tell you this. God, we build our relationships. We grow up from little kids, man, building our relationships based on common interests. All right, we hang out with folks because I played football with them, and we hang out with other folks because we like, going to eat at this restaurant together, or we listen to this same kind of music, or we grew up in the same neighborhood, and we grow up building our relationships, and that relationship building strategy being conditioned by common interests, and then God comes in and shatters it and say, that ain't the way I build relationships at all. Why are you so frustrated with your husband? Because he's different from you. But you know what? God says, I don't build according to likes, because if I build according to likes, then you're going to constantly not fit together, but do this. Or do this. But if I take you and build you in correspondence with each other to where, yes, you've got differences, when I put you together, it's going to do this. Because in the places that you have gaps, in the places that you're weak, in the places that you have inadequacies, I've built that man, or I've built that woman, or I've built that friend or that coworker in order to make this thing whole, that I can take their differences and your differences, and where you are weak, they are strong. And then it gives the right picture of my relationship with you. Because when you are weak, I am strong. And God says, so we got to quit building. I used to pastor teenagers, and I get so frustrated with teenagers. Well, I just didn't have nothing in common with him. So? What difference? Why are you basing your decision based on something in common? Your music taste is going to change in a year and a half. Why are you trying to find somebody that likes the same music you like? You ain't even going to be the same. You ain't even going to have the same identifiers in your own life in a year and a half, but you're trying to build relationships based on what you like, instead of what fits well with who you are. God says, I've connected you and joined you together in your strengths or your weaknesses. Complaining about the differences of your connections, you're cursing the production of your life. You literally need each person that God is connecting you with, regardless of what they look like, where they come from, all that kind of good stuff, in order to bring the magnitude of your life about. It says, it says, is it not good that a man should be alone? I'm sorry, let me go back. My bad. It says, but now indeed there are many members, yet one body, and the eye cannot say to the hand, I have no need of you, nor the head to the feet, I have no need of you. Why? Because the eye can't be an eye without the hand. The eye cannot be an eye without the hand. Because what good is it that you can see something and can't touch it? Are you following me? What good is it if my brain, and we're going to go further into this thing next week where it talks about the weaknesses and the weaker parts, whatnot. Here's the thing, is that we oftentimes determine that our brain is literally the head. It's the power source or the power feature of our body. But the reality is I do not care how much information you process through this tissue in your head. If it can't tell your foot to walk, you ain't doing nothing. And that brain don't mean jack. It can have all the information in the world, but if it does not have the ability to be connected with the other parts of your body and tell it what to do and expect that connection to respond, you're going to die. You're going to die. And so I can't curse my connections. Tanya, why don't you come play for me? I can't curse my resources. I can't pray. I can't be in my prayer closet and begging God, do this in my life and move this in my life and meet this need in my life and provision my purpose in my life. I can't be in a place and I'm fasting. You might be fasting, but then you get up and curse your brother. What good is your fasting doing if you're cursing the source by which God is sending it? Are you following that? Oh, yeah. What good? What good? Now here's the thing, is that I'm giving you information now that you're responsible for. All right? We become responsible for the information that we have. And so now I'm going to expect that your mind is awakened to the correction of the Holy Spirit, that when I begin to say things and post things and type things and message things that are not productive for growing connections and growing the body, that you would literally pause and just begin to be conscientious about what I'm speaking.
You have been listening to the Rejuvenate Church broadcast. If you shared in today's service with us, visit us at www.rejuvenatechurch.com and send us a message. We would love to hear from you. Rejuvenate Church invites you to be our guest if you're in the upstate of South Carolina. We are located in Anderson, South Carolina, inside the Anderson Mall across from Books A Million. Our service times are Sundays at 10:45 a.m. and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. For up-to-date information, visit our website or connect with us on social media. We are found on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Pastor Jason Wilson and Rejuvenate Church desire to bridge the gap that divides race, age, and economic status. We are transforming culture by engaging and shaping men and women through relationships and positive kingdom influences. Thank you for listening. We look forward to the opportunity to share with you again at Rejuvenate Church.